ICE is getting its butt kicked in New York City. Go New Yorkers. I knew they had the attitude to kick ICE's butt.
We have just walked from Canal Street to the ICE headquarters here in Foley Square. There was a spontaneous protest that erupted with New Yorkers after they saw ICE rounding up people on Canal Street this afternoon, and they tried to prevent those arrests from happening, following those very heavily armed officers right here to the federal building. And this is what you have seen now, the NYPD blocking off the entrance to the federal building after they took everyone inside just minutes ago. There were several scuffles that broke out with protesters
Cowards.
and federal agents. Murad Awadwa is part of the New York Immigration Coalition. And what have you witnessed here today?
What we've seen is that the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, HSI, ERO, and other federal law enforcement agents have been targeting street vendors who are simply trying to make a living in our city and arresting them today. They started from Church and made their way down to Lafayette on Canal Street, and ordinary New Yorkers stood up to fight back against what we're seeing happen in our streets here in New York City, which is just completely and utterly horrifying, to be honest with you.
Would you say this is a new level of enforcement that we have seen in New York, or is this business as usual? We don't typically see it in front of cameras.
Have you ever seen 50 to 100 federal agents mobbing a street and beating up people on the street?
Yeah, there's thousands of hours of video footage of them doing similar things all over the country.
And this is what we're seeing unfold in real time. This is supposed to be a democracy. We're supposed to be a nation of rule and law. And what we're ending up seeing is fascist tactics and authoritarian tactics being used in cities like New York right now.
Kind of paint a picture for me, for people who couldn't see this, about folks just kind of joining in and following these ICE agents in their vehicles, to the fact that they had to get an armored vehicle out here and have canisters of tear gas at the ready in case this really kind of spiraled out of control. The spontaneous protest. Talk about that.
The spontaneous protest occurred because ordinary New Yorkers see
Good
other New
Samaritans
Yorkers being hurt and vilified by these individuals. Of course, anyone who sees someone being wrongfully targeted is going to take some form of action. And to see military vehicles driving down the streets of New York City, we don't need boots on the ground. We need the federal government to actually invest in the supports that New Yorkers need, which includes reopening the government, reinvesting the resources that they're making this mockery and this theatrical show here into the services that make people's lives better.
So you told me earlier that about 40 people were arrested. Is that still the number that you believe?
Yeah, fuck you, Gnome.